We'd like to begin this podcast by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Hi Mel, how are you? It's episode 54 of Talking Couch Potatoes. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good.
We are in a new studio, and I'm feeling a little bit discombobulated.
It's a little weird, isn't it? Yeah, we're in the round. We used to be quite square, and now we're in the round.
Yes.
And I'm facing directly at you, which I know is not a pleasant experience for you. It could be metaphorical. It could be a metaphor, because we're in a whole different era now as well, aren't we, with the things that are happening?
Yes.
What's in regards to the inquiry, Mel? What do we want? What do we need? We
need everybody globally, people to have an expression of some kind about racing in WA. And it doesn't even have to be, I want to end it. No. But it could be, I want better welfare for the dogs, or I want an independent body that oversees racing. Yeah. It could be anything. You don't have to be anti-racing.
Yeah. Yeah, and also you don't have to be politically literate or anything like that. You know, my mum put a submission to the inquiry. Did you know that? Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, she wrote a little letter and she just spoke about how they should have the same rights and privileges as companions, because she's grandmother to Bunny and Bo.
Yeah.
And so she's got an experience of them as beautiful companions, and she just say, hey, can we treat them with the respect and dignity that we give our other companions?
Yeah. It's also about having your say for what you want our community to be like, because we very rarely as a group of individuals, is that even a thing?
It's not
really, is it?
Yeah, but I don't think that's a thing.
As individuals, we don't often get the opportunity to express our feelings directly to a parliamentary committee.
The people that are meant to be representing us.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a way of letting people that hold a certain set of standards or morals that you don't necessarily agree with. It's a time where they have to listen or read at the very least. Yeah. So it's a really good opportunity to
have your voice heard. Yeah. And there's only about 10 days to go, so 17th of November. If you haven't got around to it yet, literally just chuck something in there just to have your voice be heard, because I think I mentioned it the last time, the more voices that the inquiry hears, the more it understands that there's a public momentum and a public desire for change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get in there and
please
do it.
By the 17th, midnight, the 17th of November, you can find it on our website, or you can find it on the government website. Yeah, it's all over social media.
Yeah. And you can do it, as you said, anyone can do it. You don't have to be from WA.
That's right.
We want as much from WA as we can, because that's where the focus is. But put your 2 cents in regardless.
Yeah. And if you are overseas, and Parliament House are aware, but there is an issue with putting in a mobile number, because some countries outside of Australia have a 8-digit mobile. It requires 10 digits, so you can just put 040000.
Right.
And they're accepting those. It's as long as your email is correct. So if they do need to reach out to you, they can.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait to see what happens, Mel. So once the submissions close, what's next? Do we know what's next when the inquiry starts, or is it that'll all be?
We don't know anything yet. That's fully up to the committee. So normally what would happen, they go and read the submissions, talk about it, debate, and then they will decide whether or not to have hearings. If so, they will be scheduled. They will hold those hearings, and then after that, the committee go away and make a report with the recommendations, with the outcomes against those terms of reference.
Yeah. Would you be appearing at the hearing, Mel?
No idea. Obviously, Free the Hounds will definitely say that we would like to.
Yeah, you want to say hello.
Absolutely.
Don't you? Yeah. I think that then what we want to do is make sure what happened in New South Wales doesn't happen in WA, right? Yeah. Where they're not releasing the recommendations. Is that right?
This one's a little bit different because this is a parliamentary one, so they have to table a report.
Oh, excellent.
They have to table the recommendations, but what can happen, I presume, it's how much information of their response possibly might not be released publicly. Right. I'm not sure.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out. Hopefully they take a fair old while, because they've received so many submissions that it takes them.
Yeah, well, Parliament rises again in December.
Yep.
So there won't be anything at all until February, when they sit again next year, that will even have any inkling of what's going on. So
it's an exciting time, but it's also a bit of a, tenterhooks.
Yeah. And once the recommendations get tabled, then depending on, of course, what the answer is, I mean, it could be a no, it's continuing and that's all there is to it. I mean, or it could be that X, Y, Z, and let's phase it out by whenever. That's what we would hope for.
Yeah.
Then that is when we would ask anybody that has an interest in seeing that occur that they reach out to their MPs and that kind of thing. But that's a whole other...
That's a next phase.
Step, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's cross that bridge when we come to it, as they say.
Let's burn that bridge down, I reckon. But anyway... Mel,
after everyone's safe.
After the greyhounds have crossed the
Exactly.
bridge into the new sort of realm of safety and love, and then we'll burn it.
Yep.
All right. Mel, outreach. We're doing you've been doing quite a bit of outreach actually in the city. I know our producer Jem, she's like a fanatic, mate.
I know.
In the best possible way, but she's just non-stop.
Yep.
She's like a bloody dog after a lure, mate. Do you know?
Excuse me.
No.
Well, I think this is a once in a lifetime. It would be, I guess, for us.
Well, it is.
To do this. So, when you want to see something change, if you're really passionate, then I met with a politician last week.
Yep.
And
which party, Mel? Can you tell us? Is it top secret?
I don't know.
Maybe leave it for now.
Yeah, I don't even know whether it is. Oh, I suppose I can say it was the Nationals.
Right, and they're not traditionally
No.
on the side of
Mr. Hunter, the shadow minister for racing, and he actually said, "Why do you do it?" And I think it's like Gemma and most of our committee in that it's once you've seen something that you think is wrong, it's very hard to unsee it and to just then ignore it.
Yeah.
And there's so many facets to racing greyhounds that are just wrong.
I think I agree with you. There's two levels for me. Once you see greyhound racing in general and you start to understand it a bit more and the death and the cruelty and all that, that can really shift your mindset. Mm-hmm. A deeper shift can happen for me, and I think happens for a lot of the volleys and people involved with Free the Hounds when you get up close and see it by actually adopting one of these beautiful creatures. I left this morning to come to do the podcast and gave Bunny and Bo a little kiss and a snuggle. And it just occurred to me in this climate, I just watched a little doco, actually, that you might know about, that talked about the injury and death rates in greyhounds, and it really affected me. And as I gave him a little kiss and a cuddle goodbye, there was a deeper sense of the need to do something. Because I saw how comfy they were and safe, and having just contrasted that with what I watched in this doco, it really deepens and strengthens and solidifies your desire to make change. Yeah.
And as Elliot mentioned in his podcast that came out recently, they're one of the oldest breeds, but one of the first that actually became a pet.
Yeah.
And I've seen a documentary on dogs, and they became kinder. Dogs became kinder because they wanted to stay with humans, and they realised that the way to do that was not to continue to be like a wild animal.
Right.
They had to change their behaviour, and so they did that in order to be able to
close to us,
be with us.
Yeah. So why would we use that shift in closeness and attachment and go, now that you're compliant,
we'll abuse you.
It does my head in, Mel. So the outreach that you're doing, it's been going on and it's been huge, and the public response has been really big. I know personally that random people have said, "Shit, I didn't know about this. I'm going to make a submission."
Yep.
There was World Vegan Day. That happened, Mel.
Yep.
When was
that?
Great. I didn't know. I should know. Well, look, I'm not a vegan. Up front, I'm not a vegan, but I do support,
And you live with a vegan.
I live with a vegan, and it's aspirational for me. I can see why I should be.
Yeah. No,
it's a work in progress.
It was a lovely day. It's always nice. It's a nice change to be with people that are just, there's just kindness. There's nothing unkind about anything that they say. Are some of them possibly a little...
bit radical?
Radical, absolutely, but it's kind radical. It's not unkind radical.
Yeah,
and
it's progressive. Veganism, they're just trying to progress stuff.
And they're doing it kindly.
Yep.
So...
now, Mel, the worst part.
Oh, the stats.
Yeah, I hate this part.
I know.
It's a necessary evil.
It is.
The
okay.
stats.
So for Q3 of 2025, which was from the beginning of July to the end of September, there was $3.8 million handed over in prize money, $276,000 for breeding bonuses.
Jesus.
Trainer subsidies, $585,000 for bringing a dog to the track.
Yeah.
And of that welfare payment was $39,000.
Right, it's a bit of a disparity there, isn't there?
Just. So in total, $4.8 $769 million went to 6-day racing in Western Australia from our government.
Of which 39K was allocated to the definition of lip service, Mel.
I know. Anyway, okay, and tragically for the dogs, 3 were euthanised on track in that time.
Can we stop using the word euthanized, Mel?
Killed, sorry. Yep,
honestly,
killed.
It bugs me because euthanasia is something that is collaborative usually, isn't it?
Yeah.
This isn't collaborative. These dogs didn't say, I think I'd like to be euthanized now.
Yeah.
They were abused and then we had to kill them because of what we
did. Yep. So that was 3. 90-day stand-downs, which are major injuries, hock fractures, things like that. 9 occurred, which is a lot. And of those 9, 5 are now dead. So they were removed alive from the track with an injury and then now are all dead.
Can I be bold and say that sounds a little dodgy, Mel? Because in a sense then they don't have to count them as track deaths, right?
Correct.
So what really worries me is not just the dodginess of that. What worries me is what happens to those poor creatures in the time that this fatal injury occurred between then and when they finally get round to putting it out of its misery. What kind of conditions, what kind of pain, what's going on in that time period just so that they can...
Yeah, I would like to think, and I do believe that they are kept high as kites and don't have any pain.
Yeah.
But is that justification for keeping them alive just to see if we might be able to help the dog and rehabilitate it? And if they had this diagnostic equipment at the tracks, then at least that decision could be made immediately and the dog wouldn't have to go through another 24 hours or 48 hours of being like that. I don't care if they're high as kites. Anna, when she broke her leg, when she had the osteosarcoma, she was miserable being on fentanyl and being out of it.
Yeah.
It was not nice for her. You could see the pleading in her eyes. It was just, she did not like it, trying to get up, trying to do things. These dogs would be frightened, alone, in the vet clinic, in a cage.
Yeah, in some kind of...
I'm sure the vet nurses would be caring for the dogs. But, is it justified? 100% no.
Yeah.
And because, as you said, racing and wagering don't have to include that dog. It gets included as a major injury, not a death on track.
Yeah.
And then there was another 2 dogs that were given 60-day stand-downs, which are also classified as the more major injuries. All in all, there was 157 dogs that were injured over that period.
This is 3 months we're talking about.
Yeah.
This isn't like a whole year or anything.
No, just 3 months.
3 months, 157 injured dogs.
Yep.
How can we tolerate that level?
I know, but this is the kicker. Off-track injuries was 154.
So over 300.
And none of those get counted at all in any of the figures. Racing and wagering, publicised.
Well, if you're listening to these stats, and you're on the fence about putting a submission in, does that move you enough, people, to say, look, over 300 injured dogs in the last 3 months? I think I counted roughly 9 dead dogs, either on or off track, in the last 3 months. Die running in the park, mate. What are you doing about dogs running in the park? Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I don't know the exact numbers. I think I could take an educated guess that there's not 300 freaking dogs injured by playing in the park every 3 months. And this is purposeful. This is, by the way, this is purposeful. The dogs dying in the park are a tragic byproduct of the attempt to have fun with your dog, right? This is a tragic byproduct of the attempt to utilise these dogs as commodities so we can chuck a bet on them and put them in very dangerous conditions.
Exactly.
So don't start with that shit. It's a dopey dick argument. Don't be a dopey dick.
It's just wrong. It's wrong. Yeah, no, I agree. And that was actually something that the Shadow Minister had said is, they question what about other animals like, cattle in trucks. And rightly so, that's a question because we get asked that. But even as much as Free the Hounds, or me personally, does not agree with any of that, that is my choice. A lot of people in our society eat meat. But what I'm trying to say is that while that is wrong, there's
a big community mandate. There's a community demand.
Exactly for it, for meat.
Yeah.
There is. For greyhound racing, there isn't.
No, there isn't.
It's not the same in any way.
Did you see? I saw some photos, Mel, of this big event, some supposed big event
at Wentworth Park.
Is that the one? Yeah. Well, the stadiums were bare.
Yeah.
People aren't going unless you're in the game, so to speak, and you know someone who is, or you're 87 years old and you've been going since you're whatever. The kids aren't doing it. The kids are on their phones betting on it, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not going. They're not going to the track.
No, and that's the thing. Racing and Wagering WA just brought out their annual report, and the wagering on track is down again. It's down by about 2%. While their wagering income was up, that was because of AFL sports.
Right.
So they themselves know that it's online and that's where the gambling is. Yeah. And if they've got to chase it because they own the TAB, then that's what they're going to do. Pardon the horrible pun there. But, you know, let the greyhounds go. Get rid of it.
There's so much other stuff to gamble on. We can't keep killing these dogs and injuring these dogs so we can have a punt. It just seems so basic to me. It really, because this other bullshit that the pro racers come out with sometimes is that the dogs love to race and that they love to race them and they're allowing them to do something they love. So how about this? Go amateur. If you reckon the dogs love it that much and you love the sport so much, go amateur. Take the gambling out, take the government subsidies out, and you go and enjoy your hobby. Go and enjoy this thing. I've got a sneaking suspicion, Mel, that if we took the money out of this for the participants, I got a funny feeling their sudden passion for this sport might diminish somewhat.
Or the smaller trainers, a lot of them say that they can't afford it. That's why they get paid to bring their dogs to the track.
Yeah, they literally get paid.
So there in and of itself is their response.
Yeah.
They can't afford it. Our government, again, should not be pushing people that don't have the financial capacity to be involved in something, be involved in it. Even the trainers are being put under undue pressure that is wrong, and it's not right to be subsidised and pushed by our government. So a very few people can earn, like the CEO, between $650,000 and $700,000 a year. I'm assuming that's who's getting paid that much because that's the top wage that came out.
Yeah.
And that's a $50,000 increase from last year.
Yeah, if you're listening, if this sounds boggling and maddening to you, it is. And do a deep dive. There's plenty of episodes you can listen to. We're up to episode 54 at the moment. Go and have a listen to a few others if you really want to educate yourself. This is an opportunity to really change this, change it for the better, hopefully end it altogether.
Absolutely.
Mel, we've got a lovely guest coming on. Speaking of injuries on track and deaths on track, our next guest knows close up firsthand exactly what it's like to deal with the deaths and injuries, and I think she'll have a very unique perspective.
Yep, absolutely.
See you soon. Mel, it's that time. This wonderful guest that we've got on today, as I was mentioning, knows up close and personally what we've been talking about. Today we've got with us Honi Rawlings, and Honi's been a vet nurse since 2018, still working in veterinary nursing despite everything she's been through, and seems to think it's all she'll ever do and all she loves doing. Works in a specialist referral orthopaedic practice. She's a pet mama herself. She's got 3 pets. She's got a cat, Duchess, and a couple of greyhounds. Bobo, he's a 10-year-old, and Serena, who's 9, same age as my bunny. So I feel very lucky today, Mel, to talk to Honi Rawlings. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Honi. How are you?
Good, Mel. Good.
Honi, I know you a little bit, not personally, but we've met a couple of times. But the first time I guess I came across you was when you were on the ABC and you did this beautiful interview, which I found really moving, having not met you before that. The way you spoke about your experiences really came from the heart, and I have a feeling it might have moved a lot of people. That was my first sort of experience of what you've been through and what you have to say. But backtracking a little bit from there, how did you become involved in greyhound racing, being a vet nurse for greyhound racing and working on track?
It was sort of a chance encounter, I suppose. So I had just finished my vet nursing studies, and at that time you have a whole bunch of new graduates. There were not a whole lot of roles available, so it was quite competitive, and I wasn't able to get a role in clinic. It was just not happening for me, despite busting my bum trying to make it happen. And then I remember looking on Seek one day and this role came up advertised by RAWA for a vet nursing position. So I had a look at it, and it was listed as a role where you're on track, you're helping improve welfare by assisting the on-track veterinarian, providing first aid, and there were lots of kind of roles and duties listed that, you know, they're nursing roles, they're using those skills, you're putting your hands to good use. And I thought, oh, it's a welfare position. And at that time, I knew nothing about racing, gambling.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah. How much did you go in a little blind in terms of?
Oh, completely blind. I had not a clue. And
you were just thinking, oh, this is a place where I can help animals, and I love helping animals.
Yeah, effectively. And I thought at the time, I have no idea what I'm going into, and I was a little bit naive in the fact that I thought, if I don't like it, I can take the experience. I can say that since graduating, I've worked with animals, and then I can use that to help myself get into a clinical role.
Yeah.
And that was my initial thinking at the time. And so I went for this interview, and when I answered the question, what do you know about racing? And I had nothing to say. I was like, I know, frankly, nothing of racing of any code, or I've got no connections. I don't really know about any of this. And they seemed quite pleased with that answer. And maybe a week or two later, I was offered a role.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was day one, week one? What was it like?
So there are 3 tracks in Western Australia, and my first day was at Mandurah.
Yep.
It was very much a sort of rock up here at this time. This person will greet you, introduce you to the vet. And it was very much a follow along, get an idea for it. The other thing as well is that the role that I applied for, it was a new initiative and it was a new role. And it was very much a create the role yourself, more or less.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I turned up on that first day. I was introduced to the vet. I then found out on that day as well that the on-track veterinarians, they were not consulted. They did not have any input about this role. They didn't have any input. They didn't have any say into who are we going to hire? What kind of people are we looking for? What do you need out of a vet assistant or a vet nurse? They were not asked these questions. They were just told, you're going to have these people or this person starting on this day.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as a 19-year-old brand new nurse, it's a little bit confronting to be introduced to this person. And this person, understandably, is a bit put off because they're either not expecting you or they're a bit miffed by the lack of consultation when my introduction directly impacts their role. And it's supposed to be a positive impact, and it was, but to not be consulted about something that impacts your job so directly is quite infuriating. Yeah. And it does speak to the overall culture and the overall communication, but that's another story. And it was, the first hour was kenneling, where the dogs come in and they're checked, and the vet is showing me how they check all these dogs and what the process is, and I just stand there and take it all in. There was a lot going on, a lot of dogs, a little bit overwhelming just due to the volume of people and everything going on so quickly. My first night, I think we were lucky from memory. We didn't really have any major injuries or whatnot that I can recall. Yep. But yeah, I guess that was my first experience, and that started it.
How long did it take? So can I ask, how long did you remain in the role overall?
I was in the role for about 3.5 years off the top of my head. Okay. Yeah, it was, to be honest, I stayed out of necessity. I still continued to struggle to find a clinical role while working at the track. I also found that initially the hours, the evening hours, those short periods, they were working for my current lifestyle at the time. Yeah. And then as things, I guess, devolve, you become a bit disenfranchised and frustrated and upset and disgusted by the job and what you're doing and the expectations. The combination of that and struggling to find the job that I was really after and that I had trained for and that I had studied for and that I wanted to be doing. Yeah. And then, of course, at the same time, I've got financial obligations. So I'd stayed for as long as I did out of necessity. Yeah. I got very fortunate to leave.
And I guess the other part, I think I saw in my research where you mentioned a part of maybe what made it hard for you is the fact that you stayed so long and you got to know some of these dogs in particular. You got to know and build a bit of an affection and a relationship.
Yeah. It's quite an experience because you do, depending on who the dog is owned or trained by, you might see them once or twice a week. They come across the table, you're putting your hands on them, you're giving them a pat, you're examining them. A lot of people as well, when they prepare their dogs to race and they get them out of the kennels, the dogs will come out, they're happy to be out of the kennel, they're keen to see people, and most people bring their dogs over to you, you get a little bit of a pat and they go outside and they are wound up and amped up ready for their race. But you get to know these dogs and, it's kind of silly, but you do sort of go, oh, good for you. And there is a bit of look at him, he won, blah, blah, blah. And you do.
You enter their lives to a degree. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. You're like, this is your job. You're spending 4, 5, 6 days a week here. It becomes your normal, so to speak. It all becomes your normal. Yeah. And you develop a relationship with these dogs and with the people on the other ends of the leads. Yeah. And it becomes quite difficult when awful injuries occur and they come into the vet room and euthanasia is on the table, and sometimes you have to perform that. And
that's the bit that sort of cuts across the normal, isn't it? That you mentioned that you were suddenly having to end the lives of these otherwise healthy dogs to a degree, or with your support, these dogs that you've come to know and build affection for.
Yeah.
Is that part of the reason you left?
Yeah, 100%, because it's a normalised, accepted part of racing and rearing and breeding dogs is that you're going to have a litter of 10 puppies. You're probably going to lose a dog or two out of that litter throughout the course of their racing life. And the fact that it's normalised, after a while for me, it became quite, why is this normal? You know, we don't look at pet breeds like this. We don't look at our Labradors or our Poodles or our Cavoodles or whatever. We don't look at them like this and think, you know, this is normal. We're going to have a, you know, XYZ pets. We're going to lose a couple. Oh, well. It's just attitude when you're outside of it and you look back, it's a bit beyond belief.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other breed, Mel, and I just want to bring up again these stats that the sport uses to say this injury rate and death rate is very low. We know that's a furphy because they use the number of starts the dogs have rather than individual dogs. So we know that the injury and or death rate actually is around 40% of racing dogs over their career will suffer an injury or die. And I can't imagine us tolerating that for any other breed. So I wonder why we tolerate it for greyhounds.
Because there's money involved. There's gambling involved. It all comes back down to money. You think about agility and other dog sports. People compete for titles and just say, look at my fantastic, superbly bred, fantastically hip and elbow scored dog that is just an exemplary example of the breed, and he's got all these titles. There might be some financial gain when you win these titles, but it's nothing compared to what you put in. And people breed and show and compete within their various breeds and dog sports for the prestige. People race greyhounds for money.
Yeah, well, I was mentioning that earlier in the intro, Mel, that if we took the money out and the gambling profits, because they say they just love racing dogs and the dogs love to race, do you reckon if we made it an amateur sport where they just have to put their money in, but they still get to really enjoy their hobby that they're passionate about, how do you reckon they'd go? Do you reckon they'd still be keen?
Probably not. When you think about the dogs that are coming back at the moment to race because there's no avenue to rehome them, they're coming back to make their money back. It's about money. It's not about, you know, look how good this dog does. He loves to do it. It's fantastic. Yeah, we love our dogs. We love our dogs who win us thousands of dollars so we can continue what we're doing. Okay. Those are the dogs that receive love. And
yeah, we hear that a lot from the pros, that letting us know that we love them too. What was your impression of how much they stepped forward when these dogs they loved required care and attention?
In terms of people who've stepped forward, like really stepped forward, I can recall one occasion where a trainer and an owner euthanized their dog and wanted their body back to bury them at home and say goodbye. There is one occasion.
Wow.
And 9 times out of 10, dogs that are owned by syndicates or are trained by someone who doesn't own them, it's a pretty easy decision to euthanize a dog that you have a detachment to. You do have people who, they've bred this dog, they've got quite an attachment and they're there, but it's not always the majority. And sometimes you have people who are staff of these trainers or owners who they have more of an attachment, but they have no decision-making power. And yes, they're quite upset and there are lots of tears and whatnot, but it's not the normal. And I hate to say this, but if you cared enough, you would say something and you would go, no, we're not doing this. Is there ever any avenue that I can step up, take ownership? But that doesn't happen. It's just, it's accepted.
It's, don't they use the term wastage, Mel? Isn't that a term that gets used sometimes in the sport?
It's probably, more of a disposable asset at the end of the day.
A disposable asset.
Rather than wastage.
Well, once you have an idea of that dog's ability, that usually determines where in the totem pole of how much do I invest in this dog. I guess that scale of, do we put a little bit of effort into this or do we put all our effort into this because this dog is really it's got the chops and it looks like it's going to perform and make us a crap load of money.
I also think that the fact that Racing Wagering had to bring in a rule around the euthanasia of dogs once the injury scheme changed last year speaks volumes to how participants deal with the death of a dog or the major injury of a dog.
What was the rule, Mel?
That they have to keep the dog alive and it has to be seen by a vet.
One of the attitudes that a lot of people, they probably still have this attitude, they definitely had it at the time that I was there, is that you have dogs out in the general public that they have an old limp from an injury that was quite severe but it's been fixed, but they'll have residual lameness or ongoing issues from that. That dog looks quite bad out in the public and people go, oh, look, that dog's probably been injured racing or it's got 3 legs. It was definitely injured racing. That damages the social license and the social picture of racing.
The perception.
Yeah. And some people don't want those dogs out in the community because it damages the social license.
Yeah, that makes sense. We don't want you seeing the results, the consequences of what we do.
Yeah, a 3-legged dog is quite confronting to the public.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of them are greyhounds. Speaks volumes. But also, though, free the hounds are very much of the attitude, though, that euthanasia is the kinder option for some of these dogs, because when you are looking at the rehabilitation process of a greyhound, it's not like they go into a caring home with their family and are loved and looked after, checked regularly. These dogs go to the kennel. We know of one that came in with an infection so severe that it couldn't be operated on until the infection was under control. So racing and wagering kind of went fully the other way, where they were all going to be put into the scheme and kept alive no matter what, because the social licence was so strong.
To reduce the numbers they had to publish around deaths.
Exactly. And that went to the other extreme where it was almost inhumane to do that. Some of these dogs went through multiple surgeries. They're still suffering from problems ongoing to that surgery.
But that says something in and of itself, Mel. If you're in a situation where the best case scenario is that the dogs are killed, if that's your best case scenario, then maybe we want to look at the whole system. The other thing that struck me was that, Mel, you've experienced the death of your beautiful one, and it stands in stark contrast to me that there's been one occasion that Honi mentioned where the carer, owner, whatever you want to call it, the person responsible for one of these beautiful creatures, one occasion wanted to have that body and to do whatever ritual, whatever mourning is required. Doesn't that say something to you, Mel, about the attachment that they have, about what kind of love is this, where you lose your loved one, but keep the body, it's all good, just sort it out.
And I also, it horrifies me about what the vets and the on-track vets go through. It must be so upsetting to these people to have to do that and then realise that there's nobody coming for this poor dog. There is nobody. You were the last person with it.
Yeah.
And that's it. It just boggles my mind.
Yeah, you're all there and interested in me when I'm racing and making your bucks. The minute I can't do that, you won't even pick me up from the morgue. Now, come on, folks.
I know. Do better.
Honi, thank you so much for coming in today. You've got me a little hepped up, though, again. Can we finish on a more positive note, Honi? Because you've been through some awful experiences and you had to make the decision, which I guess was a tough one, in a way, to step away from supporting greyhounds in that context. You've still got two beautiful creatures at home that you're supporting. What's your favourite sort of thing about, what do you love the most about the greyhound breed itself?
They're so forgiving and they are incredibly resilient. In my current work, we see so many dogs that, there's handfuls that I recognise from my time working there and I'm like, I know this dog.
Oh, wow. You made it out.
Yeah, there's a handful that come into work and I'm like, I know you. And, you speak to their current owner and you go, do you know what their former name was in a former life? And it's great to see them in pet life and they're a little bit chunky and they're shiny and they're happy and, they come in and yes, they're in a clinic and they're like, oh no, I'm here to see a vet. But they're happy and they're bright and they shine and it's just they're so forgiving. Some dogs have been through a whole bunch of just awful crap and to see them with their new people in the life that they've deserved from the beginning and to see them, I don't want to say forgive and forget because that's not what it is, but they adapt. They're so adaptable. Yeah, they're great.
That's a really good point. I think that's a good point for listeners who maybe haven't tried fostering or adopting a greyhound. We talk about the horrors of racing. We talk about the after effects and the injuries. But keep in mind, with enough love and enough understanding and enough space given for these creatures to express their kindness and gentleness.
It's just time. It's just time, TLC. And the other thing that I love is the variability within personalities. Like I look at my own two and they're both older, but they are just, they're chalk and cheese, but they suit each other so well. My older boy, he's fantastic. He sleeps all day, doesn't do anything, is just the sweetest, loveliest guy, very chilled, nothing bothers him. Our girl bounces off the walls, is just an absolute little nutter. We love her to pieces, but she's hard work. And they balance each other and complement each other so well, and just the fact that there is so much variability that the right dog is out there for someone if they are considering it. Yeah. So it is always worth investigating. And
big shout out to Bobo.
We love Bobo.
Bobo and Serena. So Serena's the wildcat. Yeah. Serena's the one that's just, and Bobo's the gentle little sleepy boy.
Yeah, he's our big sloth. He's fantastic. Has a designated couch and that's his spot and that's where he stays all day.
How does he tolerate Serena? Does he roll his eyes a bit or does he join in?
She brings out the younger side of him and he gets all riled up and it's really good to see. And they play together and they bring each other out of their individual bubbles. And the other thing as well is that she can be a bit of an anxious dog and having him around has really settled her down and provided her with that comfort, and she's got that mate, and they are the best pair. They belong in pairs.
Yeah, I reckon too. Yeah. That's lovely. I'd really like to finish on that positive note, Mel. If you've been listening, though, even more inspiration or motivation to say hello to the inquiry, send a little message if what you've heard today has affected you, and let the government know.
Yeah, absolutely. And to anybody else out there that may have worked within the industry or is a veterinary professional that would want to say something, please, you can be anonymous. We've been told by so many different people that a lot of people want to say things but they're nervous or anxious about doing so. You can ask to not have your submission published, and you can also ask to be kept. It can be kept confidential. And as we were speaking before, you don't have to be an anti-racer to have a say about this. You can be a pro-racer that wants to see better welfare outcomes for the greyhounds.
Yeah, we spoke to one, didn't we, Mel?
Exactly. Tell them what's wrong. Tell them what you would like to see working better within your own sport, because it's only going to benefit the dogs at the end of the day. And if we have to continue it, let's continue it in a way that is the best it can be for greyhounds. But I do want to phase it out. Just remember that.
It's a weight off to say something. It is a weight off to have an avenue to go, this is what I saw and this is what I went through and this is what I can do with it. So I suppose anyone who has worked there previously and who is thinking about it, it is worth doing. It's a little bit daunting initially, but once you say that first thing, it is a big weight off and it's worth doing. And
there's the double whammy of the outside agitation is super important. People like Free the Hounds and other activist groups, but if the voices that have been inside and they've seen behind the curtain, if you're listening, and even if you want to come on the podcast, I'm sure, Mel, that we could sort of keep that anonymous. We don't come and have a chat to us if you like. Those voices that are been part of the machinery and know how the cogs turn, and know who gets caught in the cogs. Huge. It can have a huge impact. And Honi, I know you had a big impact on me when I heard you speak to the media, and I'm sure to others as well. So please step up. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Honi. Really appreciate you being here, and keep looking after those houndies, eh?
Will do.
Thank you so much for coming along.
Happy to.
Mel, that was really important, wasn't it, to speak to someone? I want to really underline the point that you made toward the end there. If you've got an inside experience of this, if you've seen this up close, the good, the bad, the ugly, please say something. Please find an avenue or a channel through which to share your experience. Ideally, the submission to the inquiry. We've got till the 17th November, because those stories, the stories from people that have borne witness, can be crucial. Absolutely. And so impactful. And I think that's what Honi's been brave enough to do. So be like Honi. Be like Honi. That's about it for today. You happy, Mel? You seem a little...
It says that on my T-shirt. He's just, everybody's been forewarned. Anybody that comes towards me today is going to know. Yeah, right. Well, you got to be in a very happy mood for the next episode. Well, I am. You are. I've got to sit here and watch you fawn over someone. I'm apoplectic, Mel. Apoplectic, you might even say. I'm so looking forward. She's on the next episode. I'll let you guess who it is. Georgie Purcell. All right, see you next week. See ya.